Okay, well, good morning. Not a whole lot again to report today. Our overflight this morning showed that for the most part, the flow pad that is down through the residence property here in Pujo Village was very quiet. No activity that we could see, no breakouts, no burning. It's relatively quiet. What HBO has been very good about relaying to us is that they are seeing inflation on the pad from the flow front all the way upslope. So that just tells us that there may still be material making its way down to the flow front, that we haven't seen any breakouts at this point, but it's possible we could see some breakout and increase in activity. Just above the boundary for the private property, between the private property and the cemetery area, there was some burning and a small breakout there, moving in kind of a north direction, somewhat perpendicular to the flow pad as it advanced down. It was well above the residential property, very, I would say, minimal advancement there, but just burning on the perimeter as it's coming in contact with some of the vegetation. No smoke issues or hazards there, was mainly vegetation. Then further upslope, just near or above the transfer station, again, just some burning on the edges of the flow, no advancing movement there, but just burning along the fringes of the lava flow. The two breakouts that were further upslope, somewhere in the range of a half a mile for the first one to a mile and a half for the second one, and that's from the Apa Street area. Those were still active, but advancing very slowly. No significant advancement since yesterday, but definitely active with burning on the perimeters there. Those two breakouts are very shallow as far as in height. Again, not seeing a lot of inflation there or buildup there. So at this point, we're still in a monitor, maintain vigilance, watch and see, continue to walk the flow pad and perimeter and just watch for any breakouts. And that's been it pretty much for us over the last 2 days. And if you think about it, back to last week, Thursday, is when we haven't seen any movement on the flow front itself. So it's been relatively quiet, but there is indication that the system is still active. So any questions for me?
Hi, Daryl. Tom, the Tribune Herald. I believe a few days ago there was a breakout near the front. Is that just basically stopped?
Yes, all of the activity down from, I want to say, the boundary of the gentleman's property and as far up as to just below the cemetery where I mentioned there's a small breakout there. Everything downslope has been really quiet. We don't see any smoke activity whatsoever. Very little steam this morning. So again, no active breakouts anywhere near the flow front as of this morning.
Frankie Stapleton, Civil Beat. Chief Oliveira, what is it like further upslope, closer to Pu'u'o and the lava flow system up there?
Sure.
Isaac HVO commented on that.
Yeah, they're actually scheduled to do a flight today, and I would turn that over to HBO if they want to chime in at this point. We didn't fly to the event itself this morning because of weather conditions, but maybe HBO can comment as far as what they know about what's happening between Apa Street and the event, and to include the event. So thanks so much.
Yeah, this is Mike. Thanks, Daryl.
Thanks, Mike.
Yes, we had a very brief overflight yesterday, and based on that overflight and some cameras, we saw a minor amount of lava flow activity within Pu'u'o crater. That's not uncommon. There was also a very small breakout in the vicinity of where lava first goes into the crack system, which is about halfway between Pahoa and Pu'u'o. And that's something we hadn't seen in a while, but it wasn't a big breakout. It was just a small pad of lava. We have field crews doing a more extensive overflight today. They're going to be attempting to get a measure of the amount of lava that's moving through the tube. The last time we did that was Friday, and we got a very low number, and so we're going to check and see whether that number has changed. And we will be doing an overall assessment of the entire flow field from the very distal tip all the way up to Pu'u'o, both visually and then using the thermal cameras to look for any breakouts that might be harder to see.
Thank you.
Sure.
Hi, this is Peter. I had a question from a constituent, something about if it's possible to put a berm around the transfer station. Is that something that's being considered?
Yeah, thanks, Peter. This is Daryl. No, that's not being considered at this time, but I know that Bobby Jean and her team are looking at what needs to be done to ensure the operational capabilities of their department. And as you know, they do have a temporary solid waste facility. but at this time they have not considered any type of diversion or barrier around the transfer station. I think you're also aware that there is a pretty significant depression in the sense that the driveway that comes around creates almost like a moat type of a structure, as it was used to bring in the containers and trailers to park so you could dump the refuse. So not sure what else they're looking at, but they have, for the most part, demobilized that facility and taken out what resources would be valuable with reestablishing a new transportation when that's affected. So we'll share with DEM that inquiry, and I assume almost a suggestion from one of the constituents.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.